The worst betrayals always start with a smile. That's what I remember most about that night. Chelsea's perfect white teeth gleaming under my porch light at 11:47 p.m., mascara artfully smeared just enough to look pitiful. My brother Thaddeus stood behind her, shoulders slumped, looking like a kicked puppy. I'm Scarlet, and until that moment I'd spent 3 peaceful years in my modest craftsman home, working remote as a technical writer and finally feeling like I had my life together. No roommates, no drama, just me and my rescue cat Luna living our best introvert life. Scar, I'm so sorry to show up like this, Thaddeus said, his voice cracking. We got evicted. The landlord sold the building with no warning. We have nowhere else to go. Chelsea sniffled, clutching her designer purse. We tried everything. My parents are in Europe, and Thad's friends all have such tiny apartments. She trailed off, bottom lip trembling. I stood in my doorway, bare feet cold against the welcome mat, trying to ignore the voice in my head screaming, "Don't do it." But he was my baby brother, the same kid who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who I practically raised after Mom died. How long would you need to stay? I asked, already knowing I'd regret this. Just a few weeks, Thaddeus promised quickly. 4 max, just until we find a new place. We both have interviews lined up. Chelsea nodded eagerly. We'll help with groceries, cleaning, everything. You won't even know we're here. I looked at their packed SUV, noting the Louis Vuitton luggage that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Where's all your furniture? In storage, Chelsea said smoothly. We didn't want to impose with big items. Luna wound between my legs, tail puffed. She'd always been an excellent judge of character. Come in, I said finally, stepping aside. The guest room's upstairs, first door on the right, bathrooms across the hall. They rushed to bring in their bags, Chelsea immediately kicking off her heels and making herself at home on my couch. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Scarlett. You're literally saving our lives. I watched them settle in, Chelsea already scrolling on her phone while Thaddeus hauled their designer luggage upstairs. The sight of them in my carefully curated space felt wrong, like oil spreading across water. House rules, I said, forcing myself to sound firm. I work from home, so I need quiet during business hours. No parties, no extra guests without asking, and I need you both actively job hunting. Of course, Thaddeus called down. We'll be model house guests, promise. Chelsea looked up from her phone. Do you have any wine? I'm so stressed I could really use a glass. I pointed to the kitchen. Help yourself to anything in the fridge. Another mistake. That night I lay in bed listening to them whisper and giggle in the guest room, the walls suddenly seeming too thin. Luna curled against my chest, purring her concern. Just 4 weeks, I whispered to her. What's the worst that could happen? My phone buzzed, a text from my best friend Faith. You did what? Girl, no. Remember what happened last time he needed temporary help? I turned my phone face down, ignoring the memories of maxed out credit cards and broken promises. He was older now, married. Surely he'd change. The next morning I woke to the sound of Chelsea's shower running, all my hot water with it, and Thaddeus's gaming headset already blaring from the guest room. On my kitchen counter, my favorite coffee mug sat unwashed, Chelsea's pink lipstick staining the rim. I grabbed a different mug, trying to squash my irritation. Family helps family. That's what Mom would say. But as I watched Chelsea emerge from her hour-long shower, wrapped in my best towel, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just invited wolves into my den. Morning, she chirped, dripping water across my hardwood floors. Hope you don't mind. I used some of your shampoo. Mine needs still packed somewhere. She waved vaguely toward their mountain of luggage. Oh, and we're almost out of coffee. You should probably grab some more. I forced a smile, already calculating how much extra my water bill would spike. Sure, no problem. Looking back, I should have trusted my instincts. The moment Chelsea smiled and stepped into my home, I felt something shift, like letting a fox into the coop. But I didn't know then what I know now. Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you invite in yourself. And my brother and his wife, they were just getting started. 3 weeks crawled by like molasses. Each morning I'd wake to the sound of Thaddeus's gaming headset and Chelsea's YouTube makeup tutorials blaring from opposite ends of my house. My peaceful home office had become their personal entertainment center. "Did you check those job listings I sent?" I asked one afternoon, finding Thaddeus sprawled on my couch, controller in hand. Yeah, he mumbled, eyes glued to his game. "They're all entry level, though. I can't take a pay cut, Scar. You know that." I bit back a response about beggars and choosers. "What about the marketing position that matched your experience?" "Chelsea says it's beneath me." He shrugged, reaching for the bag of chips I bought yesterday, already empty. Speaking of Chelsea, I found her in my bathroom, surrounded by my open skincare products. "Oh, hope you don't mind," she said, applying my $75 face serum. "My skin's been so stressed lately." "Actually, I do mind," I said, counting to 10 in my head. "Those are expensive and God, Scarlett, you're so uptight about everything." She rolled her eyes. "We're family. Family shares." That evening I was cooking dinner, again, when Chelsea breezed into the kitchen in my missing bathrobe. "By the way, my cousin Amanda's coming to stay this weekend." I nearly dropped the pasta spoon. "What?" "Just for 2 nights," she said, sampling the sauce without asking. "Needs salt, by the way. Amanda's driving through town and hotels are so expensive. You can't invite people to stay in my house without asking me first." Chelsea's face crumpled instantly, tears appearing on command. "I thought you'd understand. She's going through such a hard time with her divorce. But I guess I'll tell her she has to sleep in her car because my sister-in-law is too selfish to help family." "That's not fair," I started, but Thaddeus appeared in the doorway. "Are you making Chelsea cry again?" he demanded. "Jesus, Scar, what's wrong with you lately?" "What's wrong with me?" I gestured at the mess they'd left in my living room. "You've been here 3 weeks. No jobs, no apartment hunting, no contribution to groceries or utilities. My water bill doubled last month." "We're trying," Chelsea sobbed, "but it's so hard with the economy and the housing market and my anxiety." "Your anxiety didn't stop you from getting your nails done yesterday," I muttered. "I can't believe you're counting pennies while we're homeless," Thaddeus shouted. "Mom would be ashamed of you." The low blow hit hard. I turned back to the stove, hands shaking. "Amanda can't stay here. That's final." "Fine," Chelsea sniffed dramatically. "I'll tell her, and I'll tell everyone how you treat family in crisis." She stormed upstairs, my bathrobe billowing behind her. Thaddeus gave me a disgusted look. "Real nice, Scar, real nice." Later that night, I heard them whispering in the guest room. "Your sister's such a control freak," Chelsea hissed. "But don't worry, baby. She's too pathetic to ever kick us out. She'd die of guilt." "I know," Thaddeus replied. "Just keep playing nice for a few more weeks." I sat on my bed, Luna purring in my lap, and opened my banking app. My savings were dwindling from feeding 3 adults and paying triple utilities. This morning I'd found a $200 charge from Sephora on my Amazon account. Chelsea claimed it was an accident with my saved payment info. My phone buzzed, Faith asking if I wanted to grab drinks. I started to decline, too drained for socializing, when I heard Chelsea's voice drift up from downstairs. "The storage unit's all set up," she was saying. "I used her address for the paperwork. Figure we might as well since we'll be here a while." My blood ran cold. I grabbed my phone and texted Faith. "Actually, yes, I need to talk. It's important." I documented the storage unit receipt with a photo, then started a new note on my phone. Date, time, and Chelsea's exact words. Something in my gut told me I'd need these records soon. "Going out," I called downstairs, grabbing my keys. "Don't wait up." "Can you pick up more wine?" Chelsea shouted back. "We've finished the last bottle." I closed the door without responding, finally letting the anger bubble up. They thought I was too pathetic to stand up for myself, too guilty to take action. Fine, let them think that. Let them get comfortable, because while they were busy taking advantage of my hospitality, I'd be planning something they'd never see coming. I backed out of my driveway, watching Chelsea's shadow move across my living room windows. She might think she was the clever one, but she had no idea who she was dealing with. Game on, little sister-in-law, game on. The next morning, I found Chelsea rearranging my living room furniture. My grandmother's antique reading chair had been shoved into a corner to make space for a gaudy ottoman I'd never seen before. "What's happening here?" I asked, still clutching my coffee mug. "Just freshening things up," Chelsea beamed. "That old chair was making the room feel so cramped, and look what I ordered." She patted the ottoman. "It really opens up the space." I checked my phone. Another Amazon charge. "You used my account again?" "I'll pay you back," she said breezily. "Once we're settled. Oh, and we're out of coffee creamer." The grocery list on my fridge was now covered in their handwriting. Premium coffee creamer, organic eggs, gluten-free bread, Chelsea's specific brand of kombucha. Last week's grocery bill had been over $400. "Actually," I said, "we need to talk about expenses." "Can't right now," Chelsea chirped. "Job interview." She grabbed her keys and floated out the door in another one of my missing sweaters. That afternoon, I overheard her on the phone in the backyard. "No, it's perfect here," she was saying. "Scarlett's such a doormat. We'll stay through winter at least." "I know, right?" She actually apologized for asking us to chip in. "Yeah, we're saving so much money." I gripped my desk until my knuckles went white. When she came back inside, I confronted her. "How did the interview go?" "Oh," she blinked. "They, went with someone else? Already had someone internal?" "Really? That was fast." "These things move quickly." She brushed past me to raid my fridge. "Don't worry, I have 3 more lined up next week." That night I made dinner as usual. Thaddeus emerged from his gaming cave, Chelsea from her 3-hour bath. "We need to establish some house rules," I said, serving the pasta I'd made. Chelsea's fork clattered against her plate. "Excuse me?" "Basic stuff. Quiet hours during my work calls. Asking before using my personal items. Contributing to groceries." "We're guests." Chelsea's voice rose an octave. "Guests who've been here a month," I pointed out, "with no end date in sight." "Oh, I see." Chelsea stood up, tears already flowing. "We're not worthy of your charity anymore? You want to throw us out on the street?" "That's not what I—" "How can you be so cruel?" She ran upstairs, sobbing theatrically. Thaddeus glared at me. "Real nice, Scar. You're trying to break up my marriage now?" "What? How does asking for basic respect—" "Chelsea's sensitive, you know that. But you keep attacking her, making her feel unwelcome in her own home." "This isn't her home," I said quietly. "It's mine." He laughed coldly. "Wow. Just wow." He stormed upstairs after his wife. I sat alone at my dinner table, their full plates mocking me. Luna jumped up, sniffing at the abandoned food. "At least you appreciate my cooking," I muttered. Later, while collecting their dishes, I found Chelsea's purse knocked over on the counter. A receipt fluttered out from a storage facility across town. My address was listed as the primary residence. I photographed it quickly, adding it to my growing documentation. Then I noticed something else, a brochure for tenant rights, with sections about establishing residency highlighted. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just taking advantage anymore. This was calculated. I called Faith immediately. "They're trying to establish legal residency. I whispered, hiding in my bedroom. They're planning to stay permanently. Girl, this is beyond messed up, Faith said. You need a lawyer. I need them out, I hissed. But every time I try to set boundaries, Chelsea turns on the waterworks and makes me feel like a monster. That's manipulation 101, Faith said. Listen, I know someone who can help. My friend Jarrett's a lawyer. Let me set up a meeting. A soft knock at my door made me jump. Chelsea poked her head in, eyes still wet with tears. Scarlett, I'm sorry about dinner. I've just been so stressed. She sniffled. Can we start over? Maybe have a girls' day tomorrow? I can use your Amazon account and pay you back later. I forced a smile. Sure, Chelsea, that sounds nice. She beamed and closed the door. I waited until her footsteps faded. Faith? Still there? Set up that meeting with Jarrett. Tomorrow, if possible. On it, Faith said. And Scarlett, don't let them see you sweat. The best revenge needs a cool head. I ended the call and pulled out my laptop, starting a new document. At the top I typed, evidence of attempted residency fraud. The war was on. They just didn't know it yet. Faith's lawyer friend Jarrett met us at a quiet coffee shop across town. I told Thaddeus and Chelsea I had a work meeting, which they barely acknowledged, too busy arguing about what takeout to order with my credit card. So, Jarrett said, reviewing my notes, they've been there 5 weeks. No written agreement, no rent paid. I nodded, clutching my coffee. They're using my address for everything now. Storage unit mail, Chelsea's online shopping. And this? Faith slid over her phone, showing Chelsea's social media. She's calling it Our House in Posts. Jarrett's eyes narrowed. They're trying to establish tenant rights. After 60 days, it gets much harder to remove them. What do I do? My voice cracked. Document everything, he said. Text messages, emails, social media posts. Record conversations if you're in a one-party consent state, which you are. Take photos of any damage or unauthorized changes to your property. Faith squeezed my hand. Tell him about the furniture. They're slowly replacing my things, I said. Moving my stuff to the garage, bringing in their own. Chelsea says it's temporary storage, but classic territorial marking, Jarrett muttered. They're nesting. How's your security system? Basic cameras, smart locks. Why? Change all codes immediately. Don't tell them. And get a small recording device. Nothing obvious. They're already showing signs of escalation. I left with a legal game plan and a small voice recorder Faith had ready for me. Hide it somewhere they won't look, she advised. Under furniture, behind books. Just in case. That night, I attached the recorder under the hallway table before announcing I was visiting Faith overnight. Chelsea barely looked up from my laptop, which she'd claimed for job hunting. When I returned the next day, the house was empty. They'd left a note about apartment hunting. I retrieved the recorder with shaking hands and pressed play. Your sister's such a pushover, Chelsea's voice crackled through the speaker. Did you see how easy it was to get her Amazon password? Just don't go crazy with it, Thaddeus replied. We need her cooperative for now. Please. She's so desperate for family she'd let us burn the house down. Chelsea laughed. Speaking of which, that contractor's coming Saturday to measure her bedroom. I'm thinking walk-in closet once we knock down that wall. Babe, maybe we should wait. For what? She's never going to kick us out. And once we've been here 2 months, she legally can't. I looked it up. What if she tries? Then we'll remind her how it'll look to everyone, throwing her poor brother and his wife onto the street. She'd rather die than be the bad guy. I stopped the recording, my hands shaking with rage. They weren't just taking advantage anymore. They were planning a hostile takeover of my home. My phone buzzed. A text from my elderly neighbor, Elisa. Dear, is everything all right? Just saw a man in work clothes measuring your house exterior. Your SIL said you approved renovations. I called Jarrett immediately. They're escalating faster than we thought, he said. Don't confront them yet. Let me draft an official eviction notice, but first we need more evidence. That evening, Chelsea was extra sweet, bringing me tea I hadn't asked for. I've been thinking, she said, perching on my desk. This office would make an amazing nursery. I nearly choked. Nursery? Well, she touched her stomach meaningfully. We weren't going to announce yet, but... Congratulations, I managed. How far along? 6 weeks, she gushed. We'll need to make some changes to the house, of course, nothing major. Later, I texted Elisa. Quick question. Have you seen Chelsea smoking lately? The response came quickly. Just this morning behind your garage. Quite heavily, I might add. I added the text exchange to my evidence folder. The pregnancy card, their latest manipulation tactic, wasn't going to work. That night I lay in bed listening to them whisper and giggle down the hall, plotting their takeover of my home. But this time, instead of anxiety, I felt cold fury crystallizing into determination. They think I'm a pushover, I whispered to Luna. They think I'm desperate for family, but they forgot something important. I pulled out my phone, adding one final recording to my evidence file. Chelsea's detailed renovation plans for my bedroom, complete with contractor quotes. They forgot that desperate people are dangerous people. My phone lit up with a text from Jarrett. Eviction papers ready. Operation Take Back Your House starts tomorrow. You ready? I smiled in the dark, thinking of Chelsea's smug face and Thaddeus's lazy entitlement. Ready, I typed back. Let's show them what a pushover can do. The next morning, Chelsea cornered me in the kitchen, eyes wide and tearful. Scarlett, I need to talk to you about something serious. I kept my face neutral, stirring my coffee. What's wrong? The baby. She placed a hand on her stomach. The doctor says I need complete rest, no stress. We'll need to stay here through the pregnancy. You understand, right? From my security camera feed on my phone, I watched Thaddeus loading furniture into their SUV behind the house. My furniture. Of course, I said smoothly. Family first, right? Speaking of which, when's your next prenatal appointment? I'd love to come. She paled slightly. Oh, it's not for a few weeks. Very exclusive doctor, hard to get appointments. I see. I sipped my coffee. Well, let me know. I'd hate to miss any important family moments. As soon as they left for their daily apartment hunting, I called Jarrett. They're getting sloppy, I said. Just caught them moving my antique dresser out, and Chelsea's playing the pregnancy card hard. Perfect timing, he replied. I just filed the initial paperwork, but first we need to secure your valuables. Can you get everything important out today? Faith arrived with her SUV, and we quickly moved my important documents, family heirlooms, and irreplaceable items to her place. As we worked, Elisa appeared at my back door. Scarlett, dear, she said quietly, I thought you should know. That contractor they brought, he was measuring for complete renovations. Chelsea told him you're moving out and they're taking over the mortgage. My hands shook as I added Elisa's statement to my evidence file. Would you be willing to sign a witness statement? Already did. She handed me a notarized document. I've been watching them take advantage of you for weeks. It ends now. That afternoon, Chelsea and Thaddeus returned, shopping bags in hand. More charges on my credit card, no doubt. Scarlett, Chelsea called out, the most amazing thing happened. We found the perfect apartment, but they need a 6-month lease. Would you mind being our reference? Just confirm we've been living here. Sure, I said. Let me call them right now. Her face flickered. Oh, no need. They're closed now. I'll handle it tomorrow. Funny, I said, since I just got an alert that you applied for housing assistance using my address. The shopping bags dropped. That's not, and it's interesting that you need an apartment when you told the contractor you're taking over my mortgage. Thaddeus appeared in the doorway. Who told you that? Does it matter? I kept my voice steady. What matters is that I have everything documented, the fraud, the theft, the lies. Chelsea's tears appeared on cue. How could you spy on us? We're family. Family doesn't try to steal someone's home, I said. Family doesn't max out credit cards or file false residency claims. We're having a baby, Chelsea shrieked. You'd throw a pregnant woman out? Funny you mention that. I pulled out my phone. I have video of you smoking behind the garage yesterday. Want to explain that to your exclusive doctor? The tears vanished. Chelsea's face hardened into something ugly. You think you're so clever? We have rights now. We've established residency. You can't just. Actually, I cut in, I can. Jarrett, my lawyer, filed the paperwork this morning. You have 72 hours to vacate. You got a lawyer? Thaddeus finally spoke, face red. Against your own brother? My own brother who's been helping his wife try to steal my house? Yes, I did. Chelsea grabbed her phone. I'll tell everyone what you did, how you abused us, threw us out, endangered our baby. Go ahead, I smiled. I have recordings of everything, every conversation about your schemes, every admission of fraud. Should I post those first? The color drained from her face. 72 hours, I repeated, and I've frozen all my accounts and credit cards. Time to find a new host to parasite off of. You'll regret this, Chelsea hissed. Nobody treats me like this. No, I said. You'll regret thinking I was a pushover. Now get out of my house. They stormed upstairs, whispering furiously. I heard drawers slamming, cursing, frantic phone calls. My phone buzzed. Faith checking in. How'd it go? I watched Chelsea's perfect mask crumble as she realized her game was over. Watched Thaddeus face the consequences of his choices for the first time in his life. It went exactly as planned, I replied. The wolves just realized the sheep had teeth. Now I just had to survive the next 72 hours. Because cornered animals are dangerous, and Chelsea's face had promised revenge. But this time, I was ready for war. The next morning, I woke to the sound of apartment hunting preparations. Chelsea and Thaddeus loading more boxes into their SUV. Through my security cameras, I watched them sneak out my vintage wine glasses and the small oil painting from my hallway. I texted Jarrett. They're stealing more stuff. Perfect, he replied. More evidence. Don't confront them yet. I made coffee listening to Chelsea's fake phone calls in the living room. Yes, we'll take it. We can move in today. Just need to get the deposit. She wasn't even trying to hide that she was talking to no one. My doorbell rang, right on schedule. The locksmith I'd hired arrived, toolbox in hand. What's going on? Chelsea appeared instantly, makeup perfect despite the early hour. Just some routine maintenance, I said smoothly. Nothing to worry about. Her eyes narrowed. You're changing the locks. Like I said, routine maintenance. She grabbed her phone, fingers flying. I'm calling the police. This is a legal eviction. Actually, the locksmith pulled out his paperwork. I have all the legal documentation right here. Would you like to see it? Chelsea stormed upstairs while the locksmith worked, her angry whispers to Thaddeus drifting down. I heard furniture scraping, more drawers slamming. Faith arrived as planned, helping me document everything they'd moved or damaged. We photographed the scratched hardwood floors, the walls they'd marked up measuring for renovations, the missing items they'd squirreled away. Your grandmother's silver? Faith asked, checking the dining room cabinet. Already at your place, I assured her, along with anything else valuable or sentimental. Chelsea appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. Taking inventory of your precious things? Don't trust family? Not family who tries to steal my house, I replied, photographing the empty cabinet. We were going to pay you back for everything, she snapped, once we were settled. Like you paid back the credit card charges, the utility bills, the groceries. Her face twisted. You're just jealous. Jealous that Thaddeus has someone while you're all alone in this big house. I'd rather be alone than be a thief. She stepped closer, voice low. You think you're so clever with your lawyer and your evidence? Watch your back, Scarlett. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I held up my phone, recording. That sounded an awful lot like a threat. She fled upstairs again, and I heard urgent whispering with Thaddeus. More boxes appeared, more suspicious Belges in their bags. The locksmith finished by noon. New deadbolts, new security codes, new garage door opener. I watched Chelsea try her old key in the side door, frustration evident when it didn't work. This is illegal, she shouted through the door. We have rights. I opened the door, holding up Jarrett's paperwork. You have 48 hours left. Choose how you want to use them. That evening, they went out for dinner, probably using the last of my credit card before the cancellation hit. I took the opportunity to check the guest room. They'd stripped it bare, including my curtains, bedding, and the small TV that had been mounted on the wall. Even the decorative mirrors were gone. But they'd left their mess, takeout containers, empty wine bottles, Chelsea's makeup stains on my towels. I documented everything, adding it to Jarrett's file. Then I noticed something poking out from under the bed, a crumpled paper with my address on it, a partially completed change of address form with Chelsea's flowing signature at the bottom. My phone buzzed, a text from Elisa. They're in their car outside making calls. Chelsea seems very angry. I checked my cameras. Their SUV was indeed parked across the street, Chelsea gesturing wildly as she talked on the phone. Thaddeus sat slumped in the driver's seat, finally looking defeated. Thanks for watching out, I texted back. Faith called next. Everything secure on your end? As it can be, I replied, watching Chelsea slam her car door shut. But something tells me they won't go quietly. That's why we have backup plans A through Z, Faith reminded me. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. I locked up carefully that night, double-checking every window and door. Through the walls, I could hear them moving around the guest room, more urgent whispers, more plotting. Let them plot. I had everything important secured, everything documented, and the law on my side. Chelsea thought she could intimidate me with threats. She had no idea what I was capable of when pushed too far. I set my alarms, both security and personal, and tried to sleep. Tomorrow would either end this nightmare or escalate it beyond repair. Either way, I was ready. The final confrontation started at 7:43 p.m., exactly 1 hour before their eviction deadline. I heard their SUV pull up, followed by multiple car doors slamming. Not just their voices, they'd brought reinforcements. My security camera feed showed Chelsea, Thaddeus, and 3 large men I'd never seen before approaching my front door. Chelsea was smirking as she tried her old key. The smirk vanished when it didn't work. Scarlett! She pounded on the door. Open up! We need to get our things. I pressed the intercom button. Your things are in a storage unit. The address and key were sent to your lawyer. We don't have a lawyer, Chelsea shrieked. Open this door or we'll break it down. I clicked record on my phone. Are you threatening to break into my home? It's our home too. Thaddeus finally spoke up. We've been living here. The police are already on their way, I said calmly. I called them the moment I saw you arrive with unknown men to threaten me. As if on cue, police lights flashed at the end of my street. Chelsea's face went from smug to panicked in an instant. You guys need to go, she hissed to her muscle men, who quickly retreated to their waiting car. Two police officers approached, looking between me, watching through the window in Chelsea's tearful face. "What's the situation here?" the female officer asked. Chelsea launched into her performance. "We live here. She changed the locks illegally. We're being evicted without cause." "Ma'am," I opened the door, holding out a thick folder. "I have all the documentation here. Legal eviction notice served 3 days ago. Proof of their attempts to fraudulently claim residency, recordings of threats, and evidence of theft." The male officer reviewed the paperwork while his partner kept Chelsea from interrupting. "This appears to be a legal eviction," he confirmed. "Your deadline is in less than an hour." "But our things," Chelsea wailed. "Are in storage unit 247 at Secure Storage on Oak Street," I said. "As stated in the notice you received 3 days ago. Here's the key." Chelsea knocked the key from my hand. "We're not leaving. We have rights." "Your rights expired with the eviction deadline," the female officer stated. "You can leave voluntarily now, or we can assist you in leaving. Your choice." Thaddeus finally stepped forward. "Scar, please. We're family." "Family doesn't try to steal someone's home," I replied. "Family doesn't commit fraud or make threats." "Threats?" The male officer's attention sharpened. "What threats?" I played the recording from earlier. Chelsea's voice rang out clear. "Watch your back, Scarlett. This isn't over." "Ma'am," the female officer turned to Chelsea. "That could be considered criminal threatening." Chelsea's tears dried instantly. "This isn't fair. She's twisting everything." "Camera footage," I held up my phone, "shows you arriving with 3 unknown men to break in. Want to explain that?" The officers exchanged looks. The male officer spoke into his radio, calling for backup. "This is your last chance," he told Chelsea and Thaddeus. "Leave voluntarily or face charges." Chelsea looked ready to explode, but Thaddeus grabbed her arm. "Babe, stop. It's over." "It's not over," she spat, turning to me. "You think you're so clever? You think this makes you win? Just wait, just you wait." "That's another threat," the female officer said. "On camera, in front of police. Would you like to press charges, ma'am?" I looked at my brother, seeing not the little boy I'd helped raise, but the weak man who'd let his wife nearly destroy my life. "No charges," I said. "Just get them off my property." They left under police escort, Chelsea's promises of revenge echoing down the street. I watched their SUV disappear around the corner, followed by 2 patrol cars. Elisa appeared from her porch where she'd witnessed everything. "You did it, dear." "Not without help," I said. "Thank you for being my witness." "Some debts get paid without a dime," she smiled. "They collect through consequence." Inside, my house felt empty but clean, like after a storm passes. I walked through each room, reclaiming my space. The guest room was trashed, but nothing I couldn't fix. My phone buzzed with messages. Faith. "Victory. Wine celebration tomorrow?" Jarrett. "Well done. Keep the cameras on for a few weeks just in case." And finally, a text from an unknown number. "You'll regret this. Family never forgets." I blocked the number and opened my windows, letting in fresh air. Luna emerged from her hiding spot, rubbing against my legs. "We did it, girl," I whispered. "We took back our home." But as I locked up that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that Chelsea's final threat wasn't empty. She didn't seem like someone who accepted defeat gracefully. Let her plot. Let her scheme. I wasn't the same pushover she'd manipulated before. This time I was ready for whatever came next. The morning sun streamed through my freshly cleaned windows as I sipped coffee from my favorite recovered mug. Faith sat across from me at the breakfast bar, scrolling through her phone. "Oh my God," she snorted. "You have to see this." She turned her screen to show me Chelsea's latest social media post. A long rant about toxic family and karma coming for betrayers, followed by a crowdfunding link for their emergency housing needs. The comments are savage, Faith grinned. Apparently they tried this same routine with 3 other relatives before you. I know, I said. Their cousins reached out to thank me for standing up to them. Seems I wasn't the first stop on their house stealing tour. My doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw a delivery person with a small package. Don't open that, Faith warned as I brought it inside. Remember Chelsea's threats? I checked the label. No return address. Already on it. I pulled out my phone and dialed. Minutes later, the bomb squad declared my suspicious package safe to open. Inside was a single photograph of my front door with "You'll regret it" written in Chelsea's flowing script. Really? Faith rolled her eyes. That's amateur hour. And documented harassment, I added, bagging the evidence. Jarrett will love this. My phone buzzed. A notification from the neighborhood watch group. I opened it to find Chelsea's picture with a warning. This woman and her husband have been reported for multiple rental scams in the area. Approach with caution. Karma works fast these days, Faith mused. Speaking of karma, I pulled up my email. Remember that storage unit they used my address for? The one with all your stolen stuff? They never paid the bill. Unit goes to auction next week. I already called the company. Since it's under my address, I get first right of refusal to reclaim my documented property. Faith cackled. Please tell me you're taking everything back. Everything that's mine. The rest can go to auction, including Chelsea's precious designer collection. My security system chimed. Motion detected in the backyard. The camera showed Thaddeus alone, looking defeated. Should I call the police? Faith reached for her phone. No, I said. I'll handle this. I opened the back door. You're violating the restraining order. I know. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I needed to say something. Say it from the legal distance of 50 feet. He backed up to the property line. You were right about everything. Chelsea, she's done this before. I didn't want to see it. And now, she left. He laughed bitterly. Found someone with a bigger house, better credit. Told me I was too weak to help with her real estate investment plans. You mean her fraud plans? Yeah. He scuffed his shoe like he used to as a kid. I'm staying with Mom's old friend Rita while I figure things out. Got a real job interview tomorrow. Good for you, I said, not moving from my doorway. But we're not okay. I know. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, really sorry. Actions speak louder than words, Thaddeus. He nodded, turning to leave. By the way, Chelsea doesn't know I'm here, but she's still plotting something. Be careful. After he left, Faith hugged me. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her my phone. I'd recorded the whole conversation. More evidence for Jarrett, just in case. My doorbell rang again. This time it was Elisa, holding a housewarming gift. Sage, she explained, handing me the bundle, to cleanse the space of negative energy, though your strength already did most of the work. We burned the sage together, letting the smoke drift through rooms that finally felt like mine again. Faith opened more windows while I deleted old photos of Thaddeus from my walls. Sometimes family isn't who you're born to, Faith said, watching me. It's who stands beside you when the wolves come. My phone buzzed one last time. Another anonymous text. Sleep tight. Karma's coming. I smiled, thinking of Chelsea's crowdfunding failure, her exposed scams, her lost designer clothes sitting in an unpaid storage unit. I thought of Thaddeus finally facing consequences, and all the relatives they'd tried to scam now warning others. Karma's already here, I texted back, and she has receipts. I blocked that number 2, then settled onto my couch, my space, my rules, my peace. Luna curled up beside me, purring her approval. Let Chelsea plot, let her scheme. She taught me an invaluable lesson. Sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born with, and sometimes the quietest revenge is simply standing your ground. I scratched Luna's ears, breathing in sage cleansed air. Some debts get paid without a dime, I whispered. They collect through consequence. And consequence, it seemed, was just getting started.